Juan Soto was sent outbound from D.C. And if you didn't see this somehow, I don't know how you could have missed it, but maybe you did. It's a bad job by you. So the rumor was that Soto was up for the final three teams, the St. Louis Cardinals, the San Diego Padres, and the Los Angeles Dodgers. Those are the final three teams bidding for the services of the player that turned down $440 million. So, what happened? Juan Soto was traded to the Padres with first baseman Josh Bell for a gaggle of suspects. The Nationals acquired 6 players, Luke Voigt, and a collection of bingo cards. San Diego also made a couple of other trades. You might remember the Josh Hader trade from a couple days ago from the Brewers. And they picked up a third baseman / utility player named Brandon Drury from the Cincinnati Reds. So the big one, though, is Juan Soto, a generational talent. And he is now going to San Diego to hang out, at least for the next couple of years, with the Padres. So let us discuss how much better does Juan Soto make the Padres? And on the Maller report card for this trade, I give San Diego an A+++. The Nationals get an F. That's right, an F for the Nationals. I've got Grand Theft Auto, Party Invitation, and the Cool Kids Club. And we're going to put all of these things together, and we are going to make peanuts, those peanuts with the shell. You don't normally eat peanuts with the shell unless you're at a baseball game. They encourage you to throw the shells everywhere and make a mess when you go to a baseball game. So, Juan Soto possesses something that is rare in baseball. There's plenty of professional baseball teams, but there's very few of this. There's a finite amount of stardust. And Juan Soto has the stardust. The Padres are unequivocally a better baseball team today than they were yesterday. That is a self-evident truth. You don't need me to say that. And you have taken another one of the top-level players in this sport. There's a finite amount of these players. And you have dropped that player into your lineup. And Soto has been meandering in Washington. The Nationals won the 2019 World Series and have been blowing up the roster ever since then. And this is the final blow. Body blow, body blow. Pretty much everyone you'd heard of gone from that World Series team. Anyone that made a meaningful impact on that 2019 World Series team in Washington's gone. But this is about the Padres, right? Surrounded by Flotsam and Jetsam, Soto in D.C., and he had cooties, essentially, because everyone pitched around him. He's got a ton of walks and all that. But that stops. At least in theory, it stops. And for supposedly sleepy, small market San Diego, I remember for years the argument was always, well, there's just not a big enough group of people in San Diego because to the south is Mexico. If you go to the west, it's the Pacific Ocean. You go to the east, it's desert and Arizona. And if you go north, it's L.A. and Orange County. So the Padres are boxed in this small little corner of Southern California. Well, screw you is what the ownership group in San Diego has said. I love it. May every fan base have an owner like the Padres ownership group right now. They have gone Grand Theft Auto. They have. They picked up a heat-seeking rocket launcher with a bunch of surface-to-air missiles, getting Josh Hader. Now, again, Hader's not as good as he used to be, but still very good. Better than the Padres had from the Brewers. Juan Soto, you drop him out there, and there was a dead zone in San Diego in that slot in the outfield. And Josh Bell's been very productive. He's having a career year. We'll see if that continues in a high-pressure situation. But that is a masterpiece, is what it is, to acquire these players, to get the top hitter available, Juan Soto, to get the top closer available, and add an extra bat on top of that. So masterpiece. That's why the Padres get an A++++. And they are like the turkey. The turkey being plumped up before Thanksgiving because they've upgraded the roster. They've invigorized the locker room and all of that. Now, part B of this. Let's take a look at the other side. It takes two to tango. The Washington Nationals giving up on that natitude. The Nationals with this trade is a full admission. We are going to suck, and we are going to blow for years to come. We're going to have a new owner, and whoever buys the team will be getting the property, and the building will be torn down completely that's on the property right now, and we're going to burn all of the trees on the property, and you can put whatever you want there. So many of the insiders who follow minor league baseball seem convinced that this is like the biggest trade in baseball history for minor league players. And does this qualify as a Herschel Walker level trade for the Nationals? Now, I am shaking my head no. I'll believe it when I see it. Now, the nerds who are on parade here that love their minor league prospects, they believe that this is it. They're beside themselves here, that the Nationals have pilfered the Padres, convinced that Washington has just pulled off a bank heist. Now, as a skeptic, again, I don't believe it. I'm not buying what they're selling. I'm not. Washington gets an F in my book because they just traded a generational talent who should have been, could have been, would have been the centerpiece of the franchise into the 23rd. Well, yeah, but. The Yabba crowd's like, yeah, but they offered him $440 million. I get it. I understand it. I understand that part of it. And it's crazy to say that you turned down $440 million and that's not good enough. What the Nationals should have done is said, okay, we'll give you a 10-year deal for $440 million. He probably would have signed it. And then he would have been a free agent in his early 30s, and that would have been that. But they didn't do that. The Herschel Walker trade comps also, they don't work for several reasons. It's apples to cranberries. It's mostly revisionist history. So let's go back in the Wayback Machine. The Vikings, this is probably before your time, but the Vikings traded 3 first-round picks, a total of 8 draft choices to Dallas in this massive NFL trade from yesteryear to acquire the services of the great Herschel Walker, a legendary figure, not as good in the NFL as he was in college, but a good player. And the actual players picked, there were some other players that were traded, but the players that were picked, this is the thing people forget about that. Those particular choices were not Hall of Famers. Now, the general manager, Jerry Jones, in cahoots with now his mortal enemy, Jimmy Johnson, they were able to mix and match the draft picks and their own draft picks and make deals that led to getting Emmitt Smith and Russell Maryland and Darren Woodson. These are great players in that era for the Cowboys. And they were able to get them in cahoots with the Viking picks. But if you grade the trade solely based on the actual players picked with the selections the Vikings traded, it stinks. I think the top player was a guy named Eugene Chong, who ended up eventually being drafted by the Patriots. And that's about it. No Hall of Famers, no you can't believe it type careers. There were some good players, but nothing that really stands out. And so if you take a look now at the Nationals, they get an F because what they did is they just took some promissory notes. That's what they got. This pitcher, Mackenzie Gore. Who? Mackenzie Gore, a top suspect, left-handed pitcher, projected as a top-of-the-rotation starter. Guess what? He's currently out with a bum elbow and will likely not pitch again this year. So you've just traded the top player. Everyone says this guy's the top pitcher, top of the rotation, number 1, number 2 type starter. He's got a bad elbow. So you've already gotten that. The other names include someone named C.J. Abrams, a shortstop, who has played in the big leagues this year, and he was batting .232. He was a first-round draft pick a couple years ago. And you toss in a bag of other minor leaguers, and that's what you got. So it's a wonderful day for the Padres, and they have said, F them prospects. The minor league system. We've said this all along, and very few baseball teams actually believe in this, but it is true. Minor league baseball is a tool to fortify the big league roster. Just like the Rams in football said, F them picks, F them prospects. In San Diego, they now have a party invitation to the Cool Kids Club. You can always find more prospects. It is a renewable resource. Every year you are allotted a number of draft choices, and you can pick more players and develop them. And it's kind of like being a farmer, right? You get the crop, and you sell the crop, and then you start over again. And you can do it. But don't be married and have an umbilical cord connected to your minor league players. The most important thing is the major league team. And the Padres have said, that's it. We want to improve the big league team. We want to go for it. And they've gone for it. All right, now the last word. Does this mean the Padres are the new darlings of the National League, that they're going to take over the National League? Well, it means they are instantaneously the flavor of the week, the talk of the town. But does it mean that the Padres are going to end up winning the National League pennant? No. Getting Fernando Tatis back is obviously going to help. He'll be back in the lineup, and they'll put Soto out there. They've got Josh Bell. San Diego's an IHOP team, right? They are stacked like pancakes. You've got Tatis Jr., assuming they keep him off motorcycles, signed for the forever contract. You also have Juan Soto, who I assume will bat second, Manny Machado third, Josh Bell fourth, some combination of that. And so, yeah, San Diego's lineup is going to give heartburn to opposing pitchers. But despite that, I still have the Padres on my big board a few steps behind the Dodgers, the Metropolitans, and the Atlanta Braves. If you look at the depth chart, why? Mainly, I don't trust the Padre rotation. It's not an elite group. And I don't. There's some questions about the Dodgers also. Right? Some of these guys, I don't know that you can trust them. They've had Cinderella seasons. So to be fair, but I look at the Padres. I see Joe Musgrove, a former cheating Astro, who's been solid this year. But then I look at like Yu Darvish. He's not great. Blake Snell, bro. I'm risking my life, bro. Listen, I would want Blake Snell if I was playing video games on Twitch. I don't want him pitching a game in the playoffs.
Bro, I'm risking my life.
Yeah, that's the guy. That's the dumbass the Padres traded for. Numbnuts over there. The great thing, though, about baseball is that it doesn't matter what you have done. All right? The Dodgers are going to have the top record, or the Yankees will have the top record, and it's irrelevant. All that matters is who is better in the moment. Doesn't matter how many great players you have. We've seen Manny Machado go in the playoffs and puke in the postseason. It's possible for all of these guys. You don't know. And the great reminder of that was last season, a very mediocre Atlanta Brave team, a team that was lagging around 500 or below 500 much of the summer. They made a couple of deals. They retooled, and they ended up dominating the playoffs. They were the better team for a month, and Eddie Rosario batted like 600 in the National League Championship Series. He sucks, but for a week or 10 days, he was the greatest player in baseball. He looked amazing, and that can happen to your team, but you got to obviously get in to the postseason.